Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We've got some more Madden 22 news today as it pertains to an update that's coming soon to the game, but we also had an EA developer go on live stream this morning and talk about the state of Madden's gameplay, and the community completely lost their minds, myself included, over some of the stuff that was said. So we're going to talk about everything you need to know, but if you're new to the channel and you never want to miss out on any of the Madden updates or information, make sure to subscribe, turn the bell icon on so that you don't miss any of these videos when they go live. So earlier this morning when EA did their daily Good Morning Madden live stream over on Twitch, the lead gameplay developer Clint Oldenburg went on to kind of talk about the state of the game as it pertains to the defensive side of the ball. He talked about the previous patch that came out last week and how everybody was pretty upset that nothing was done to address the terrible zone coverage in the game. Now, he did go on to talk about some of the things that they're going to be fixing soon with coverage, but he also had kind of a part of this live stream where he kind of defended the state of the defense in Madden and to kind of say that it's not as bad as people are maybe making it out to be. And that's what people got really upset about. Now, we're going to cover all of that, all the things that are going to be fixed, all the things that he said that people didn't like. So the first thing Clint said this morning was basically that they want to be careful to not swing the pendulum too quickly so that they protect game balance. And I don't disagree with that statement as a standalone statement. I disagree when you talk about how bad the zone coverage is in Madden 22 because some things are just objectively wrong and they should have been fixed with the last update. But the overall sentiment of you don't want to jump in too quickly and change things too harshly, I agree with that, because then you get the Madden 18 situation where you have the 91 zone debacle where everybody that had 91 plus zone pretty much played like superhumans. Like, they had eyes in the back of their head, they read every route perfectly, they jumped every route. That wasn't good for the game. It was one of the worst years of Madden. So I do agree with that, but again, when we talk about Madden 22, this is a different situation. You have zones that are actually doing the opposite of what they're supposed to do. That is just objectively wrong. So he went on to say that game health is actually strong on the defensive side of the ball. He said that the average yards per passing play in Madden 22 is close to what it was in Madden 21. He said that the average yards per coverage type is close in 22 to 21. He said that the interception rate is 8% higher in Madden than it is in the NFL. He said that the average score per team in online head-to-head is 24 points per game, which is almost exactly the same as last year's NFL games at 24.7 points per game. And he also said for players who are less experienced, that average per game is more about 14 points per game. Now, this is where people lost their mind, because this does not make the state of Madden's zone coverage okay. But for many reasons, I think that this logic is wrong, respectfully. I'm not bashing, I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm going to say why that this is not the right way to look at it. Okay, first of all, the people that are watching this stream in the morning, that's your core Madden audience. That's the people that actually care about the game health and the game getting better. It's not the casual person that doesn't really care what you do one way or the other. The right thing would be to tell these people, hey, we understand that there's still some issues with zone coverage. We didn't want to be too quickly and overreact. We want to make sure we do it right, and it's going to be addressed. And you still would have had people that were mad, absolutely, but more people would have been accepting of that answer rather than trying to use real life data that doesn't really correlate one-to-one with Madden to kind of say, hey, it's not as bad as you guys are making it out to be. It's kind of like I'm right, you guys are wrong. That's how it comes off, even if that's not how it's meant. You can't say that we appreciate the feedback and we're listening to the feedback, but then try to use data to defend the state of the game when we're all telling you, no, this is objectively wrong, and you know it's we all know it's objectively wrong. A hard flat doesn't stay in the hard flat half the time. That's objectively wrong. There's no data that makes that okay. A deep third zone will play the running back wheel route out of the backfield and let a streak from a wide receiver who's lined up right in front of him run past him. No amount of data makes that okay. A deep half in cover 2 completely ignores the sideline. He doesn't even try to pay attention to it, and that's part of his responsibility. No amount of data is going to make that okay. But also, the reason the data doesn't make sense is because this game isn't a one-to-one to real life, right? There's way less possessions in a Madden game. There's way shorter quarters. People are running clock even more than ever this year because of how bad the defense is, so you're probably getting less possessions than on average because people are terrified to give the ball back to their opponent late in games because the defense is so bad. But also, respectfully, I don't think it's fair to try to cherry pick real life numbers when it comes to something that you're trying to defend about the game, but we're going to ignore all the aspects of real life that aren't represented in the game, right? Just in terms of gameplay alone, there's no D-line stunts in the game. That's a basic fundamental of football. There's no red zone fades in the game. That's a basic fundamental of football. Contains do not contain the quarterback. It's a basic fundamental of football. Those things aren't represented in the game, but we want to use real life data to say that the defense isn't that bad. That's not fair. You can't cherry pick real life when it makes your case stronger, but kind of ignore it when the game is missing things that just, quite frankly, it shouldn't be missing. Now, no one's asking for the zones to be overpowered. They're not asking the zones to play for them, to jump routes for them. I don't think really anybody's asking for that. People are just saying, we want the zones to be in the spot of the field that they're supposed to be in. If I put a hard flat on the field, I want him in the hard flat. He shouldn't be going anywhere else. If I have a deep third on the field, he shouldn't let a streak run past him because there's a wheel route coming out of the backfield. I don't need the zones to play for me. I don't need them to get interceptions. I don't need them to jump routes. I need them to be where they're supposed to be so that I can click on and make a play. And right now, that's not happening, and that's objectively wrong, and no amount of data makes it okay. Now, he did go on to say that they're going to be fixing it, so he does know that they're not playing correctly. He said that cover 3 will be the first thing that's fixed. I assume they're going to address the deep thirds playing the wheel routes and letting streaks run by them, which is a great fix, but I'm almost positive that they're still going to ignore corner routes and the sideline completely, even on plays where there's no route pulling them deeper, which, you know what, I can get around it. There's unrealistic ways to get around it, but you know what, at least if they're not letting streaks run by them, that's a start. He then did say that they were going to address cover 2 and cover 4 later, so it sounds like they're going to slowly be fixing each coverage at a time, which is something else I don't agree with. We know that every coverage is broken in one way or another. Fix them in an update, put it in the game. You don't have to overpower them, just have them actually play on the field where they're supposed to play, and everybody's going to be pretty happy. They're still not going to be good. Zone coverage isn't going to be great, but it's going to be passable, and when you go from being awful to passable, that makes the game infinitely better, because now with minimal adjustments and just being a smart player, you can make plays and have your guys where they're supposed to be on the field. He also went on to say that as the Ultimate Team ratings increase throughout the year, you're going to notice that they're going to play better. They're not playing as good in zone right now because they're lesser players with lesser zone coverage, and that is just not true either, because in the regular rosters of the game, guys like Jalen Ramsey, who have 99 everything, are clueless. They don't defend anything. You can beat them with the simplest of routes every play. You can put one route on the side of the field and beat him every play without any other route for him to look at. You can put the same route in front of his face every play and you can beat him. So you can't say that as Ultimate Team cards get better, that they're gonna play better when the best players on the regular team don't play good. Also, it just sounds bad because it's like, well, you know, if you put more money into the game, I know that's not directly what he's saying, but that's how it comes off. If you put more money into the game as the game goes on and you get the really good cards, those guys can play defense. Like, no, I shouldn't need a 99 zone coverage player for him to not let a streak run by his face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, I shouldn't need 99 zone coverage for the hard flat to stay in the hard flat and not run to the inside of the field. Like, that's not the answer, but it still doesn't even make sense when you look at the regular rosters, which, by the way, more people are playing with regular rosters than are playing an Ultimate Team. When you consider franchise and other modes, more people are playing with the regular team rosters, and the best defenders even on the regular teams don't play good either. Yes, everything plays a little bit better on all Madden, 100%, but that still doesn't make it okay, again, that on all pro, that zones do the opposite of what they're supposed to. I'm not expecting them to react as good as all Madden or even play as good in general as all Madden. I'm saying they shouldn't do the opposite of what they're supposed to. It's really just, that's as basic as it gets. So they're going to be fixing it. They said they're going to bring it along slowly. They're going to kind of attack each coverage at a time, which means for the next couple of months, you're probably still going to see some bad defensive coverage in the game. You're going to see some of the biggest issues or glitches with them fixed over that span, but even after it's fixed, still kind of understand that it's not going to be great. And there's still ways to get around this. You can use your zone drops to help cover up some of these problems, but when you really stop and think about it, that's not realistic either. I shouldn't have to tell my cloud flat in a cover 2 to play 30 yards back, because if I don't, the sideline's going to immediately be given up. Yes, in real life, you can hit the sideline in between the cornerback and the safety against a cover 2 if you time it right. You absolutely can. In Madden, it's just wide open. It can be a touchdown every play because the deep safety just ignores the sideline completely. So if I want to play a cover 2, I have to use my zone drops and tell my corner cornerback to go 30 yards back and now give up 30 yards in the flat, which is supposed to be one of the strengths of a cover 2, to limit yards in the flats. I have to give that up if I want to play a cover 2. Otherwise, I'm giving up a touchdown down the sideline. In a cover 3, I got to tell my curl flat to sprint 30 yards back to the sideline so that he's not giving up a corner route because the cornerback is going to ignore it completely. That's why zone drops are in the game, and I think it is a great feature because, you know, zone coverage has never been great in Madden, so having zone drops gives us more of an opportunity to adjust things to our liking, to defend things that are hard to defend in Madden. But if we're being honest, the reason zone drops are needed in the game is because they can't seem to program deep zones specifically to react the way they're supposed to, so we need to take our underneath zones and drop them unrealistically far back, which they would never do in real life, to cover up the issues that they can't seem to fix with the other zones in the game. So while it is a good feature, in a perfect world or even a decent world, it wouldn't be needed. But that's it for today. There are fixes coming soon, but don't expect them too soon, and don't expect them to be, you know, changed too much is kind of what I got from this morning's live stream. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time.